Hi, and thank you for joining me for today's process video. And today is day 6 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life, series 17. And today's sketch, you can see in the top left-hand corner there, is by Amanda Castle. This sketch is definitely my wheelhouse. It's got a sort of cross through the middle. Now, I don't know whether Amanda had intended for that to be 4 different papers, but I've taken that to be strips of paper. So I've pulled out my Discover and Create collection. I've printed out 4 photos from our recent trip to London, just sort of everyday photos really, not anything particularly special. It's one of us on a selfie I took of us on the train station, a picture of Ross with the kids by a telephone box, and then one of a lovely street and one of the Brompton bicycle shop, which I sent to my mum and dad because they had Brompton bicycles years ago and I thought it was funny. So I've taken, as I say, that cross to be strips of paper. So I'm just cutting up strips from some of the scraps that I've got left over from Vicki Boutin's Discover and Create, and using some of the branding strips as well, and I'm using a mix of the 6x8 paper pad and the 12x12 papers. Now some of these papers are from the 12x12 paper pad and some of them are open stock, and it's interesting because the colours vary quite a lot. So I've got one strip going vertically and one strip going horizontally. They're both the same print but the colour is completely different. The one that's horizontal is quite a green and the other one is very, very grey. Can't remember which is which, I'm afraid. I think the grey one is from the paper pad, but I'm not certain. So I'm just focusing in on the neutrals for this page. My photos are relatively neutral apart from that beautiful bright red telephone box, but I don't know why, I just felt that this needed to be a fairly neutral page. So I pulled out one of the papers from the paper pad and it's just got like a chicken wire grid on the background with some black splatters top left and bottom right hand corners, and that's what I'm going to use as my base. And then you can see I've just cut up all these strips and I'm going to distress the long edges on each of those strips and put them down. So the cross is off centre, so that's what I'm aiming for with these. I'm just putting the first strip down, which is the widest one I cut, and then using my T-square ruler just to check that it's straight on the page, and then I shall add the rest of them layered up around it. You'll see one of those papers has the hole in the middle. It was the branding strip from the 6x8 paper pad, but I know it's going to be covered by the photos and things, so I wasn't too concerned about that. So while I'm doing this, please don't forget to check the description box down below. I'll add links to any socials for Amanda Castle that I can find, along with the playlist of everybody who's joining in on this month-long hop. So the playlist, we just add our videos to each time we create with them, and when you go to the playlist, you can just keep watching and watching and watching all the videos that have been added. It's absolutely wonderful to get all this inspiration, and it's amazing how differently everybody interprets the sketches. There's also a Facebook group, 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life, and if you join that, in the albums there's one album for series 17 and each of the days are added to that album, and then you can add your creation underneath that day as a comment. I hope that makes sense. But if you go into that, you'll see everybody else's creations again, and it's just wonderful to see all those different interpretations, because of course not everybody's on YouTube, so it's nice to have somewhere to share everything on Facebook. So you can see I keep bringing my photos back in just to check that I'm happy with the positioning of these strips, because I want them to be seen. Doesn't matter if it's only a little bit that's seen, but I definitely want them to be seen when the photos go back on the page in due course. So I'm nearly there with these vertical strips, and then I can start on the horizontal ones. Just moving that one down, checking that I'm happy. So now here are the horizontal ones. So I'm just going to again bring that strip in and then bring the photos in just to check that I'm happy with where I'm going to put it. And then it's exactly the same thing. I won't make you watch me putting all of this down because, as I say, it is just exactly the same, just distressing the long edges and then gluing each of the strips down as I've distressed them. So here's that first one. You can see I've moved the photo down a bit. I decided that I wanted it a bit lower than I had at first. And my ATG is my friend for this. Managed to get glue on my photo doing that, but it came off just fine. So there we are, all those strips are down now, and I'm just positioning the photos. I am going to mount those onto white cardstock just to give that nice crisp white border to differentiate between the photos and all those strips in the background. Just one more piece that I wanted to add, actually it's a couple more pieces I think I'm going to add down here. This one once again is one of the 6x8 paper pad branding strips, so you can see that hole there in the middle. And then I also wanted to bring in this camera strip. I don't bother distressing the edges of that, I just wanted it to be on, and in fact it's more or less covered, there's just a little bit peeking out by the time I've added the photos and embellishments that I'm going to add. So here I am just matting those photos as I mentioned, just leaving a very small white border around the edge, just trimming them right down, and then I'll glue those down straight down onto the page. I'm not using any foam pads. So that's how the photos look. So now I'm going into the puffy stickers from this collection, and there's a title piece that says "Love This Place," and I thought that would be really nice for this layout. As I say, it was just a short trip that we made to London during half-term holidays, so these are just some snapshots of our walk down from St Pancras down to Covent Garden. So just positioning this and making sure that I can get the place tucked in nice and tight with the word love. So I just move that word "this" over a little bit to get everything nestled together. And it's great having that chicken wire on there because it does mean that I'm able to get things relatively straight without worrying too much about bringing the T-square out every time. So that puffy says "Creating Memories," and that just works nicely between those two left-hand photos. And then these are some bumpy border dies that I've cut from the Hey Little Magpie dies, the bumpy border die set, and I'm going to use little bits of those around that cross as well. Now I do bring this tag in because you can see on Amanda's sketch there is a little flag on the right hand side. I end up removing it. I mess about but decide that it just doesn't work with the look that I'm going for on my page, and this is where you have to make sketches your own. If there's something in the sketch but it doesn't work for you, you don't have to do it. Just do what suits you. So I am adding the journaling up in that top left hand corner because that creates a nice diagonal from top left to bottom right, and I wonder if that's why this tag didn't really work for me. It was a little bit too heavy, but I'm bringing in this red seam binding because I was hoping to bring in some of the red from the telephone box just to add that elsewhere on the page. So it sits there for a little while, but I will pull it off shortly. So I felt that the title was floating a little bit down there, so I'm going to use some of this bumpy border die cut and just add that as a layer underneath the "Love This Place" phrase there, and on top of that lovely dandelion clock sticker that came from the 6x12 sticker sheet. So just gluing that down there. And then with the bit that's left over, I'm going to tuck a little bit in on the left hand side here. I will add a bit there, and also a little bit at the top. I tried it at the bottom here but decide to add it to the top. So just playing to see where I want it. But that's when I realised I want it at the top and then on the left hand side. So just that little bit there. And then I just have to trim off the edge that I tore to add this bit to the left hand side there. And the way this die is created means that you can just trim in between the bumps, and it looks like that was where it was meant to end. So it's a very good die to have in your arsenal. So this is where I decided to move that tag. I just wasn't happy with it. So I've got it for a future layout. It's a gorgeous tag, a layered tag, which will work really nicely on a different project for sure. So this is my little folder with all the papery pieces and sticker books. So I'm just going through. I love the black ampersand, so I'm going to add that to that bottom left hand photo. With hindsight, I wish that I'd moved it up a little bit, but it's fine. It's fine where it is. I think it just shouldn't have been on a horizontal line when I've got that vertical line going on. I think that's what is jarring me a little bit. And then I'm pulling out some of the little word stickers. There's one that says "We love always," and then another one that says "I like you." So they work nicely with the photos. And then I'm just looking through to see what else I can find. I like that vine, but it definitely doesn't go with these photos, so I leave that. But I do find this lovely pink washi sticker heart, which I'm going to add next to the title there. And then this other bumpy border, which is another washi sticker, and that works perfectly to add to the other two quadrants that I've not added anything to yet. So I add a little bit here, just tear off the end, and then add the rest of it at the bottom. So I've got the two solid black pieces and then those two washi stickers to complete those 4 points. So just getting that tucked underneath that puffy arrow. And then I use one of the labels on the left hand side of the photo of the 4 of us, and I'm going to add my roller date there. These are the puffy stickers, and I just love the little red ladybirds, so that's me getting the little bits of red around the page like I mentioned. And there's also a little black heart that I'm going to add layered onto that pink washi tape heart. Just seeing if there's anything else that I want to add. Keep going back. Another little black heart at the top there next to the date, and then I'll add the date there, and I also add some ghosting of the date underneath the title as well. I just think that looks nice at the bottom there. And that's it. I hope I've provided some inspiration. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Amanda, for the fabulous sketch, and I shall see you again soon. Bye.